The race for Champions League football will go down to the final day for Aston Villa after they beat Tottenham 2-0 comfortably this evening. Tottenham side, of course, we've got the Europa League final to look forward to on Wednesday. Their opponents, Man United, lost 1-0 to Chelsea relatively late on at Stamford Bridge. Fans were watching it in the concourse as some players walking, finishing their kind of lap of appreciation after Villa's win over Spurs. Unai as well, taking lots of selfies before attending his media briefing after the game. Say 2-0. That was actually my prediction before the game, so I'm a little bit smug about it. First half flew by, almost as quick as the fastest first half that I've known following Villa, which was the playoff final against Fulham. That first half flew by. Don't know where that went. The second half went by quickly too. But yeah, really poor first half. 1 minute added time says about everything really. At the end of it, Villa came close on a couple of times to scoring. Asensio putting the ball just past the far post. As we got to having a header, John McGinn having a decent opportunity. Ollie Watkins testing Kinski. It was actually Tottenham who went closest to scoring in that first half. Snodded there, flicking the ball towards Martinez. I'll get on to him later. But that was, about all there was to talk about in the first half. Second period, Villa got their goal just before the hour mark as Ross Barkley and Leon Bailey were about to come on, I think. Ezri Konsa poking the ball past Kinski after Ollie Watkins had the ball down. Another goal from a set piece for Villa, one which Konsa after the game said that they had worked on before the match, which, again, more credit there to Austin McPhee. Villa then going 2-0 up later on in the second period. Firstly, Ollie Watkins had a big chance just after Villa went 1-0 up. It was Ben Davies, I think, who got his leg between man and ball, possibly taking more of Watkins than the ball, to be honest. But yeah, no penalty there. Maybe there was a brief VAR check. I wasn't sure about it from the press box where I was sat. Villa made sure of the points when they go 2-0 up again, in a position there where they can then see the finishing line in this game in particular, and a bit more focus went to that Chelsea game, because at this stage Villa were in fourth, and there was a decent chance that they'd maybe on the final day have it in their hands to go to Old Trafford and, of course, get the job done without looking elsewhere. That won't be the case, or it could be the case actually if Bournemouth beat Manchester City next week on Tuesday. Bournemouth, I think, could still have an opportunity to be in European football if Fulham beat Brentford on Sunday, but I think you get bogged down in too many permutations, and in this video as well, too many permutations that I'll be talking about if we analyse it too far to the nth degree. Boubacar Kamara scored his first Premier League goal for Villa, second goal in Claret Blue, I think. Goal against Everton in that Carabao Cup defeat earlier this campaign. That was his first, sixth career goal, I believe, as well. So fired hard on the low past Kinski. I think it was on his left side, his weak side as well. So nice goal, putting Villa 2-0 up. Breathing room there, space for Villa to make use of in terms of bringing some players on. Leon Bailey came on, Barkley came on. Bailey looking very emotional when he came on as well. Every chance that was his final appearance for the club at home. Obviously could play a part against Man United next week, but at Villa Park, likely to be his final game. Martinez, I guess we talk about him now. It's a strange one because Villa have won the game, and I think actually during the match the atmosphere at points was a bit subdued because there was, a feeling of almost expectancy that Villa would win this game. We've all been saying it for some weeks that, Villa will win that game and then it'll go to the final day. And my sort of feelings were that I was confident Villa were going to win this game, but also, they had to. So therefore, you just tick it off to talk about something more. If you just said, we'll have to see where the Spurs game goes. Well, the conversation's pretty boring on a podcast. So it was almost they'll have to win that. They have to beat Bournemouth. They also have to beat Fulham. They've done those three things, and now only Man United separates them in 69 points, which is a better points total than last season, which is remarkable, and Villa might not even finish in the top 5, let alone top 4. So, yeah, as I say, job done tonight, but a feeling of expectancy in the crowd. And then after the game, you have Emi Martinez, who... So my viewing of this was Emi Martinez when the full-time whistle was blown. Martinez stands at the edge of his box, hands on his hips, looking around, almost like if you kind of, I don't know, fast forward time, and that's the image that you're seeing, you're thinking, oh, Villa have blown this. They've drawn the game, they've lost the game. Because we've seen that image of Martinez before, hands on hips and looking around, shaking his head. Something's gone wrong. No, Villa had won clean sheet, a 5th clean sheet in 8 games for Martinez. Robin Olsen with a clean sheet before that run of matches against Brentford, of course, at the GTEC. And it was Robin Olsen who, after a few minutes of Martinez walking around and kind of lost in his own thinking, I think, Olsen comes over, consoles Martinez, gives him a handshake, and I think it's Vicario that then came over to Martinez after that. And Martinez, as the players sort of dispersed, you had the goalkeeper coach as well come over to Martinez too, and as the players dispersed, as saying, then he sort of makes his way towards the Holt end, and he must have been shedding a tear or two. Well, we know he was from the images, but from where I was looking at it, he's wiping his eyes a few times, and you're thinking, well, that's not normal. This is the final home game of the season, but Martinez doesn't always do this in the last few years that he's been at Villa. So, yeah, read from that what you will. Emery was asked about it after the game, obviously, and said that he doesn't know. We will see what happens with players in the team. We want to make the team better, and using those words, but put it this way, he didn't give a reason for why, and didn't bat away the feelings that a lot of Villa fans have. And the question itself was, will Martinez and Bailey leave this summer? He doesn't know. So, yeah, at this stage, you wouldn't have thought anything is agreed in terms of a move or anything like that. I don't think it will be that advanced right now. But to be crying on the pitch, put it this way, I think that's a strong signal for Martinez that he knows that could be his final game at Villa Park. There's no other explanation for it, and again, that was what was put to Emery, and he couldn't give a reason otherwise. So naturally, that will be what fans thought, and I think in the days to come as well, unless Martinez comes out himself and explains the reason why, well, that's the feeling that's going to be lingering. And of course, we know that Saudi Arabia clubs have proposed deals to Martinez. Whether he takes that or not, I can't believe he'd want to go to. Well, he won't go to Saudi Arabia for sporting reasons, let's say that. They'll be interested in him, of course. From other major European teams, he is one of the world's best goalkeepers, and there's a few clubs on the continent that will be looking for keepers as well. I'm sure Villa won't want to sell to a Premier League side. Again, it's difficult. I don't want to talk about it too much because Villa have just enjoyed a great night and are not quite on the cusp of Champions League, but they're there. They're really close. They just have to do a job against Man United, and I'll get onto the permutation shortly. But they'll have good opportunity, a good chance of returning to the Champions League. So, yeah, the Martinez thing I think needs to be parked. We've all seen what he did and how emotional he was. He also came out afterwards with his family, like all the other players. Couldn't stay to see what he was doing for the whole duration of his time on the pitch because Emery was then going to have to speak to the media. But yeah, difficult one really. I think a lot of fans leaving the ground and tonight and tomorrow will think, well, we're expected to beat Spurs, so there isn't that sort of huge high of getting the job done. A lot of relief, I think, when Conte scored, and then when Kamara did as well. You could see it in Emery and how he celebrated. That was the goal that won Villa the game. He didn't really want Solanke coming on the 60th minute and other players potentially causing any problems for Villa. That didn't happen in the end. Of course, yeah, Martinez, Bailey, both very emotional. And of course, the fact that Chelsea scored, not that late, but on another night, maybe United could have scabbed a draw. Emery, when he sat down in the press conference after the game, said, he was on his phone when the first question was asked, and he said, Chelsea, what was the score? 1-0, okay, we expected that, it's out of our hands. So I don't think a lot of fans will kind of agree with that sentiment as well. I don't think anyone really expected Chelsea not to win that game and for Villa not to beat Tottenham. So here we are. Now, what's the state of play? So Villa, to have it in their hands on the final day, need Bournemouth to beat Man City at the Etihad. That's the only way, I'm pretty certain now, that Villa can have it in their own hands, that they beat Man United and they're guaranteed to be in the Champions League. Bournemouth, as I said earlier, European chasing team, won't be easy for City, having then played the FA Cup final, of course. Who knows? The other permutation, and then you're looking into the final day, is that, well, if Newcastle play Arsenal need to win that game for Newcastle to be involved in any final day drama, really. Let's say Arsenal beat Newcastle. Newcastle would then have to beat Everton if Villa beat Man United. Arsenal themselves need just one more point to finish above Villa in terms of goal difference. They'll be fine. They have Southampton on the last day, so they would have to lose to Newcastle and Southampton. I think that's highly improbable. Man City, as I say, if they lose to Southampton, then fantastic. If not, they'd then have to... if they draw twice, obviously Villa would go above them. Maybe City is an option there for Villa to capitalise on. City and then Chelsea, of course. Chelsea playing Forest, last game of the season. I said this a couple of days ago after Forest blew up really against Leicester, that actually Forest winning against West Ham this weekend is ideal for Villa, because that leaves them with a big opportunity still to get in the Champions League. If they do that, they know that going into that Chelsea game, if they win, they can finish in the Champions League if Villa fail to beat Man United, and they will be thinking that that is a possibility. So yeah, that's an interesting game to look out for on Sunday. I think if West Ham were to beat Forest or get a draw, well, that ends Forest's chances of getting the Champions League, I'm pretty certain. So therefore, will they be up for that Chelsea game as much as Villa need them to be? Possibly. It's still final home game of the season, something to celebrate for those players and fans. It's been a great campaign for the Reds. But you'd rather that Forest team going full throttle at Chelsea, willing to take an injury or whatever it may be to get over the line to get that win, hoping that Villa struggle at Old Trafford. For Villa though, they will have to do at their end of the bargain, and it won't be easy against Man United at all. For as poor as they are or have been, well, we just said the same thing about Tottenham, who have made lots of changes to their best side for tonight, and still frustrated Villa for periods. If Villa play their best football at Old Trafford, they will win that game, fairly certain. These are the permutations you need to be looking at now. So I think in an ideal world, I've had to sum this up. Bournemouth win at the Etihad. That's that. And then Villa do their job against Old Trafford, against Man United. While you struggle to think that that's particularly likely, I think, Forest beating West Ham on the final day, that's almost like a Champions League playoff, as it were, at the City ground. But even then, if Villa do their job, they're fine, as long as Chelsea don't win. So I still think that, there's a very strong chance that Villa can get into the Champions League if they do beat Man United. So, I don't really connect with those feelings that some fans have of not disappointment, but the fact that Chelsea won relatively late on, and on another night they might not have got the win. I don't really connect with that feeling, but I think for a lot of fans it's quite emotional that Martinez has essentially broken down after full time. And again, while we have no other reason to suggest otherwise, it appears that he might have just played his last game at Villa Park, which isn't very nice thoughts for anybody really. He's been a fantastic servant for the club. He will go down in history, in football history, as the goalkeeper, and one of the key reasons why Lionel Messi won a World Cup. That will be etched in history, and he'll be the Aston Villa goalkeeper at the time that happened. He's, for some parts of the kind of footballing paternity, he's put Villa on the map, I would say, in Argentina, stuff like that. Not in terms of Villa have won a European Cup, I don't mean it like that, but sort of revived them in certain areas of the globe. The guy has a burger named after him in Argentina. That's not his claim to fame, of course, but the point I'm trying to make, and this was something that said in different kind of areas as well. Chris Heck might have even said it actually after Martinez signed his new contract last August, that you know, it's a commercial asset. He's huge, and that's not the way you really want to look at it, but it kind of backs up the point that I'm trying to make about how important he is as someone who can elevate that Villa brand. Definitely has done that, I think. So another reason why you don't want to see him go, but the price has to be right for Villa to continue to build in the world of PSR. So we'll see where that goes, what offers may land in the summer. But just judging by his emotion tonight, yeah, like, not great. Villa will survive even if he was to go. And other players, who knows? I wrote a piece a while ago that Villa should not be scared about selling players, and that you kind of trust the footballing decisions that Villa have made so far in terms of recruitment process, everything that they've had to battle with in terms of PSR. Yet 7th place finish, Conference League semi-final, 4th place in the Premier League last season. This season, go for Champions League once more, quarter-final of Champions League, semi-final of an FA Cup. That is real progression. Might even have more points this season than last season as well. So, yes, definite progress this campaign compared to last because of the difficulties. Players have improved, but also the fact that there's been more games, more challenging game as well in the Champions League, of course. So, yeah, Villa have really juggled those competitions, but they've had a really strong squad to do so. So that's the kind of point I'm trying to make about why they shouldn't be scared about selling players. However, Martinez would be in that sort of top bracket of players that you don't want to lose, because I do think that often, nothing against, how do I put it? I do feel as a Villa fan, sometimes you can take that player for granted because we don't really know otherwise in terms of our rise in the Premier League. Before Martinez was the season where Villa scraped safety in the Premier League, so we haven't had a goalkeeper consistently who isn't Martinez, who isn't one of the best keepers in the world. So that is something that Villa would have to get used to if he was to leave, and therefore selling him, that's why it would be a big risk. You'd have to get that decision bang on. So we'll see where we go from here. I'm not going to kind of dwell on that too much in this video. I think I already have, actually. But yeah, Villa 2-0 win this tonight against Tottenham. Bizarrely, that almost takes the back seat, I don't know, in terms of how people feel tonight. Yeah, a game which Villa, many expected them to win. They have won, so credit there. And then you go into the final day now with, well, again, we don't know if it's going to be in Villa's hands or not. Hopefully it will, but even if it's not, yeah, you give them a decent chance of getting over the line, as long as, well, Nottingham Forest and potentially Everton as well, Fulham too, possibly. They do, yeah, they do a nice solid for Villa. Yeah, as of tonight, a routine victory, and that really is the most important thing.